Let's queer up gay culture. Walking through history, Pelosi's visit Collecting Memories exhibit. House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, a stalwart figure in American politics, embarked on a poignant journey through the corridors of history at the Library of Congress's latest exhibit, Collecting Memories. Nestled within the hallowed halls of the David M. Rubenstein Treasures Gallery, this exhibit is a stirring testament to pivotal moments in the nation's past. Amidst artifacts once in Abraham Lincoln's possession and relics evoking the trials of the COVID-19 pandemic, Pelosi's visit took a personal turn as she encountered letters and photographs adorning the submissions to the AIDS Memorial Quilt. Her connection to the AIDS Memorial Quilt runs deep, rooted in personal loss and resolute advocacy. From the nascent days of the Names Project to facilitating its iconic display on the National Mall, her influence has been profound. Her efforts in 2019 ensured the quilt's return to San Francisco, securing its archival legacy at the American Folklife Center. Remember, Pelosi is a longtime resident of San Francisco. Though her visit was brief, its impact resonates far beyond the marble walls of the Library of Congress. Collecting Memories is set to be available for visitors until December 2025. Pelosi criticized Republicans in a frank discussion with The Advocate, condemning their exploitation of LGBTQ+ issues for political gain. She also lamented Martina Navratilova's stance against transgender participation in sports, giving an example of her transgender grandniece, Skylar. Pelosi emphasized how acceptance and support can positively impact transgender youth. There's a lot to unpack here. I'm not going to touch the Navratilova stuff,
okay,
but I think it's always important when someone like the Speaker of the House, former Speaker of the House, brings up queer culture, like anything that we are kind of dealing with. And I loved that she's making a very specific thing about her grandniece, Skylar, and talking about the transgender, how she and her family are dealing with transgender in the real world, and how they're kind of navigating with Skylar. And I also think when I was reading about the AIDS Memorial, it reminded me of Madonna's concert over the summer, which I had the privilege of going to. And she did this incredible celebration of just kind of that time, the AIDS Memorial and like the quilt and all the important people that were part of that moment in time.
Well, I personally love this. I don't think, she talks about Republicans using us to create divisiveness or, maybe some sort of political gain. This felt very personal to me on her end, because there's nothing to gain from her going to this on our end. We already knew that she was supportive. She's not trying to change any minds.
Yeah.
She has a personal experience to it. She went, she publicized it, but she did it so that we could see we still have people out there for us. She's not running for office, right? So there's nothing for her to gain out of this except something personal. And that's what I take from this. And I find it very, very endearing. Because normally I wouldn't really connect to these types of stories. I'm always kind of like the pessimist, but this feels very genuine.
I agree.
She's not just jumping on a bandwagon.
Yeah.
I think she's a very compassionate lady.
Yeah.
It's always nice to look back at certain times in LGBTQ plus history, but I always hate that we jump to the quilts and, some of these that are not
wait a minute.
beautiful.
I'm going to stand up for the quilt because I was there helping with the quilt.
Well, you can stand up for the quilt.
But I'm just saying, I think that it's important because of a number of things. One, it's one of the few things that the United States in general, when you say, give me a moment in history for LGBTQ+, people will say, the quilt in the 80s. Now, yes, it's a horrible medical issue, a worldwide travesty on that end. But it also proves to the world, as the size of the quilt, how many people were truly impacted and infected.
Yeah.
And at the same time, a lot of people come out of there feeling refreshed with hope, knowing that we have improved our lives so much. It was also a huge political moment that was a benefit to the LGBTQ+ moment. because it gave us that political stance to stand up for the first time, especially against Ronald Reagan and the Republicans.
Okay.
So, yes, we always.
I just think there's
we
also
default to,
some beacons that can shed light on.
But that was an
like
important.
we acknowledged earlier, we have the resources to look and acknowledge past situations that were shunned, not looked at, not shone a light on.
But we're
this
only
is always
we're
a
only
go-to.
40 years past that, and a lot of the younger youth don't even know, have never seen the quilt. They hear the stories, but they weren't impacted by
What
passing.
do you have any kind of specifics? What other moments in time would you rather have?
Tu Wong Fu.
Honestly, I'll take that.
Important pop culture moments, yeah.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was not, but I would take that. Honestly, it's iconic. It changed a lot of people's lives. I get what you mean. You want more of a positive spin on something. Yeah.
Not that the quilt isn't positive.
Sure.
It's just always, it's for me, low-hanging fruit.
Right.
There's other alternatives.
But we're talking about Washington D.C.,
Sure,
where we have the
sure.
mentality and the attention span of what can we do in a soundbite this week.
And I
So
think-
to have that there for till December of 2025 is, pretty substantial.
Yeah,
I mean-
the fact that Pelosi has been in office since I think she started in like 84. Like she's 84 years old.
She's been in there 50 years.
But yeah, so the fact that she has always been like a staunch ally for our community and is not has no reservations about talking about it and embracing things.
No, I encourage it because
granddaughter,
those are the people that are shaking and making votes, and they have a say and they have a vote on some of these issues, or she did at least. And those type of people, of course, need to speak up. Of course, need to acknowledge us as a community. Just
Well, we gotta
acknowledge all of us,
Exactly.
not
Absolutely.
just one portion.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Because
I totally
even how they make prep ads, they cater to a gay as opposed to catering to everybody. Everybody can get
You're right.
HIV.
yeah.
You're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's
Good
all.
point.